I'm Courtney and I love all kinds of adventures. Today's adventure is riding my new bike, which is my first full suspension bike. I got a new bike because this guy decided he deserved the bike I put hours of work into more than I did. Luckily, the cops were able to find the bike. Unfortunately, this is what it looks like now. The bike I went with is a Specialized Status 140. This is a full suspension trail bike with 140 millimeters of travel. It comes with Fox suspension. It has the Fox Float 36 Rhythm with a 2-position sweep adjustment in the front and a Fox Float X Performance with a 2-position lever in the rear. This is also my first mullet bike with a 29-inch wheel in the front and 27.5 in the rear. In addition, it's tubeless ready if that's what you prefer. The Status comes with a 12-speed cassette with Sram NX Eagle shifting. It also has Sram Code 4 brakes with 200mm rotors. The final components worth noting are its X-Fusion dropper post and DAD grips. This is the first mountain bike I've owned that I didn't feel the need to start upgrading parts on. The Trek Merlin 5 had many new parts installed over the past couple years. I upgraded the forks on my Giant Talon E almost immediately, and honestly, if it were my main bike, I'd probably get a dropper post and a few other things as well. I've only made a few minor adjustments to the Status 140 at this point. I cut down the handlebars, added my own pedals, and a water bottle cage, all of which I feel are pretty standard for any new bike. I feel like I should mention, however, if you're like me and wanting to get a cool bottle cage, perhaps one that looks like a sparrow, don't do it. You won't be able to get a water bottle in and out. Get a side entry water bottle cage like this one. I will also mention this is the S2 size, as I'm rather short, so you may have better luck with other bottle cage designs if you have a larger bike. The only other thing I'm considering doing to the bike at this time would be to get color match stickers for the forks, which obviously isn't necessary. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this bike. It's my first full suspension, as I mentioned, so admittedly I don't have a ton to compare to. The only other full suspension bike I've ridden was ridden minimally, and it's my boyfriend's, and it's way too big for me. The Status 140 feels very stable and fun, especially on the downhills. Some other reviewers complained about its climbing capabilities. If you plan on doing a ton of climbing or riding mainly cross-country, then I would suggest getting a bike designed for that purpose. This is a trail bike bordering on enduro, and with that in mind, it totally meets my climbing expectations. As long as you switch the rear shock to firm, you really don't lose a ton of energy, and first gear is super easy. You don't always even need it. One last thing I'll mention is that when I first got the bike, I set the sag to 30% as suggested, but after riding and testing a bit, it feels kind of soft, both front and rear. I've been riding with my fork at only about 25% of the way open, so I'll likely end up adding a little more air to both. Of course, this completely depends on your riding style and what you prefer, but it may be something to keep in mind. I'm super stoked for more riding adventures with this bike. I hope you're able to get out and have some fun adventures this summer as well. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to be always adventuring.